What we want to do in this session is to configure an IPSEC connection using the IPSEC management MMC. I have two machines, one 192.168.5.232 and the other one .254, and just to show that they do work, that we are connected, let's ping 192.168.5.232 and we have connectivity. And we'll go back to the other one and let's ping 192.168.5.254. So these computers are connected on the same network, are able to communicate. In order to configure the IPSEC connection, the first thing we need to do is to open the IPSEC management MMC. So we'll go to the MMC, add remove snap in, and we'll go down and find the IPSEC policy management console. We're going to add it for the local computer because that's the one that we're going to be managing here. We'll finish up with this thing, and when we get it open, we find that there are three pre-configured policies. The first one is server request security, which if assigned, and you notice that there is an assignment column, and when we assign a policy it'll show up as yes. You can only have one policy assigned at a time. If we use the request security, if a client requests a connection to a server, the server will request a secure connection, an encrypted connection. If the client's capable of that, then using the default response rule, it will establish a secure connection with the server. If it's not capable of having a secure connection, a Windows 95, Windows 98 machine, then the server will allow a non-secure connection. The client respond only tells the client, if it's set, tells the client to establish a secure connection if a secure connection is requested. The server requires security means that if a machine requests a connection with this server, then it must have a secure connection. Otherwise, the server will refuse the connection. That means that Windows 95 and Windows 98 machines would not be allowed to connect to this server. Machines prior to Windows 2000 don't support IPSEC. What we're going to do is create a new IPSEC policy that's going to encrypt our ping command, our ICMP traffic. One of the things that this should point out to you is that ICMP is a protocol separate from TCP and UDP. So let's get on with configuring the policy. In order to do that, we'll go over here to the policies on the local computer, right click on it, create an IPSEC policy. The first thing we need to do is to name it. We'll call it demo policy, just to have something to call it. Activate the default response rule in the absence, what this says is in the absence of any other rules that'll use the default response rule in order to securely communicate. And then we have to have a method, the response rule, we have to have an authentication method, and here we have the option of Kerberos if it is in a domain, using a certificate if we have a certificate. I don't have any of those, so let's use a pre-shared key, Blue Rhino. When we get done with that configuration, complete the IPSEC security policy wizard is now here. We've successfully specified the properties of the policy. Now we're going to edit the properties. When we go into it, if we leave that checked, we go into a wizard, and in our case we're going to add a policy. It's not a tunnel endpoint. If it were a tunnel endpoint, we would specify here in the address. The tunnel endpoint is specified by the following IP address. If we had that, what traffic do we want to encrypt? All network traffic, local area network, or remote access? And in our case, let's just pick local area network. If no IP filters in the following list match your needs, we have to add one. We said we're going to do ICMP, so we're going to specify ICMP traffic. What are we going to do? Let's require security for our ICMP traffic. And when we go here, what are we going to use for the authentication method? I'm going to use a pre-shared key or a pre-shared string here, and we'll call it again Blue Rhino. And then it will say we'll leave the edit property so you can see what we have actually done. What the wizard did was take us through each of these tabs. We could have gone directly here and gone one tab at a time and configured this policy, but we just went right straight through the wizard. If we say OK and then OK, notice we have the two policies. The dynamic, the default response rule is this one, pre-shared key. In this one we're using require security. So we have the default response rule, which we configured initially, and the require security. When we go back up here, none of the policies are still assigned. So in order to do that, it's just a matter of right-clicking on the policy and assigning it. Now that we've done that, it should be looking for a secure connection. So if we try to ping our 254 address, it says negotiating security, because the other end has yet to be changed, and trying to negotiate security but unsuccessfully trying to negotiate security. In order to allow it, I have pre-configured the same policy on the other machine. I've just flipped over to the other server, which is the 254 machine. The same policy is here, the demo policy. Well, first of all, let's see if this one can ping the 232. It doesn't. It's just a regular machine with no policy. It's not trying to do anything. It's trying to ping to a machine that's now set to require security, and we just simply get a timed out on it. So it would appear that the policy is working at least in one direction. Let's go in here now and assign this policy. Again, it's the same policy, pre-configured. Ping the 232. It's negotiating one ping, and now it has negotiated the security. Took one ping to negotiate the security, and now we have a secure ICMP connection between these. I realize that you probably wouldn't be securing ICMP traffic in most cases, but it is the one that is the easiest to use to demonstrate this. You had the opportunity to pick other protocols if they were necessary. The defaults are ICMP and all IP traffic. So that's it. That's how you set up a secure connection between two machines. Hopefully this has been useful, and thank you for watching.